former NRL Gold Coast Titans player and leading buyer's agent on the Gold Coast, mate Srama.
Tell by my attitude that I'm most definitely
My eyes, there's no such thing as failure. It's like you either win or you learn.
Great bit of skill from the very smart people.
I feel success is being able to wake up each day, doing what you want and being fulfilled with that.
One thing I really took away from my former career as a professional athlete was being able to be resilient when things get hard.
I made you high. Catch me at the X with OG at a Yankee game.
Wow, we tripped down memory lane there. Super excited to be here today. I'm actually going to roll something out that it's really close to my heart, what we're talking today, and it's a bit of a framework. But to get started, I want everyone in the room just quickly to think of yourself in your industry. What's the highest pinnacle you could get right now in your industry here? I know we've got a lot in real estate. Some, I seen Katie mention there was a few in marketing. Just think yourself a decade from now. So 10 years forward, think yourself a decade from now, you've reached the highest of highs in your industry. Your definition of success too. So everyone's got a different definition of success. I want you to epitomize you being that. This is going to come handy when we get to the end of the chat, but just sit in that for a quick second. Just what that looks like for you. Now, I want you to think about, same time frame, so a decade from now, you are crushing it, you're the market leader in whatever it is, but I want you to envision yourself in a completely different field or a completely different industry. And the reason I say that is a lot of people are multifaceted. We're in this life, right, and it's multifaceted. So I want you to just envision, maybe it's a hobby that you're trying to crush it at. Like, I suck at golf. I'd love to be better at golf. Maybe it's that business you've always wanted to start. Maybe you're super comfy where you are right now, but maybe it's this business you're thinking and you're like, I wish I could execute on that. Or maybe it's just a passion project you've always wanted to work on. I want you to envision yourself 10 years from now crushing it in that field. So, and just sit in with that too. So in your mindset right now, you should have yourself over here, one person, over here, future you there. Here's the thing, same person, right? Same time horizon. So we've got a decade there. Same, I guess, vision of success, but completely different industry or field, right? What we're going to talk around today that I feel has been super life-changing for me and some of the best high performers I've been around is we're actually going to talk around that framework from where you are now to where you want to be, because that framework is the exact same no matter where life goes. So think of it like a SIM card. Like it's literally like a SIM card you can plug into here. No matter where life takes you, you've got this SIM card that's literally just going to be with you for the rest of life. Like, think around as well, like it's just those people, right? Like some people just crush it. I'm sure we've all got those people. Like think around, could be in your community, someone you really look up to. It could be one of your colleagues, or it could be a celebrity who you really aspire to be like. They just crush it. And I know I'm like this, like those people where you're low-key supported, but you're also like kind of jealous that they just crush everything they do. I know those people. I used to think those people were lucky. I really did. I used to think those were lucky. It's like that SIM card was kind of there when they were born and they were born that way. I actually realised now that I've gone through a bit of a journey, which I'll share in a second, that they're just really well prepared. It's like they've got the SIM card always in there. And what I've noticed is that luck is genuinely when preparation meets opportunity. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Those people aren't lucky. They're crushing it for a reason. And brings me to today, I'm actually going to unpack what I feel that framework is. So this SIM card, by the end of today, you'll have it and you can plug it in. So I like to call it the corporate athlete equation. The corporate athlete equation. So why am I here? Why am I talking around this? So a little bit about me. Super relatable because one thing I noticed around carrying an important SIM card is life can take you anywhere. We've always got this vision, but life can just go anywhere. I believe life will always open up doors. It's our job to walk through them, and then life will close the ones we're not meant to continue to walk through. And sometimes in life, that door that closed on you may have not been by choice. And no matter how hard you try, it's not opening. But that's okay. So this is what this SIM card's going to help you with. So a little bit about me. I'm from Western Brisbane. Anyone here from Western Brisbane? No? Yeah, there's a few. Shout out. I was born and bred in Forest Lake. I was born actually in Inala, the 4077. Yeah, I made it. I'm on the Gold Coast now. Mama made it out of the ghetto. So I had immigrant parents. So mum was from Philippines, dad was from Poland. English wasn't first language. By all means had a lot growing up in terms of, love and nurturing, but didn't have much. I had all my brothers' hand-me-downs. And to be honest, even in school, I loved school, but I really struggled. I was in pre-vocational maths, English comm. Definitely, I remember in our English class, we used to just watch Anchorman, and it was crazy. It blows my mind now looking back, what were these teachers doing? So I learned how to do a resume, learned how to use Microsoft Excel and things like that, but I really struggled with school. Sport got me through. If it wasn't for that subject called HP, I probably would have dropped out. But it actually really served me on my next journey where I became a professional athlete. I really wanted to play rugby league. I ended up achieving my goal. I had the goal at age 5, ended up achieving at the age of 19. It was a good grind. Got there, transferred really quickly, took my opportunity, Rookie of the Year, won all these awards. It was going great. And then I was medically retired at age 26. So for me, when I was talking around doors shutting, for me it was I'm going to get back through, but no matter what, it actually wasn't opening, which was really hard. It was probably the most lowest time of my life because that was my identity. I was an athlete. I was always going to be an athlete. And look, the average age is at least 30 to 35 of retirement. So I felt I had a lot more to give. Anyways, fast forward, I started, I was always investing in property as a young one. I bought my first house at 23. I built that up in 10 years to a portfolio, multiple houses, circa 7 mil, and currently in the top 1% of investors in Australia. And I say that more for the reason, not to boast, but more so that, again, having immigrant parents, it wasn't investing on property, wasn't at the dinner table. So it was something I was super passionate about. And I used some of the frameworks in that journey. And then what that led me to, again, a door just opened and I decided to walk in it. I started a buyer's agency company. So again, mum was a hotel cleaner, dad was a garbage truck collector. And, and they were very hardworking and I thank them for everything. But business was just not at the dinner table chat. I had no idea about business, but I always felt I had a good work. I thought I'd give it a crack. People kept asking me how I did my things in property. Started a buyer's agency. We're only 3.5 years old, so I'm not here saying hey, I'm this entrepreneur and things like that. I'm actually quite fresh into business. Started in my bedroom, scoured. We've got a fairly sizable team now. And yeah, we won all these awards and things like that again. But the key thing I realized through each one of those journeys, I keep using the same SIM card. And now that I'm in business, I'm actually learning a lot of high-performing business people. And I've noticed there's literally similarities between them all. So what we're going to unpack over the next 20 minutes is 3 sections. So daily and weekly success, so the top 20%. I reckon if you can succeed in that, you'll crush it. Then we're going to touch on those people that I like to call the top 1%. They're doing things that 99% of people are not doing. And I've observed a lot. And then the third is what I call, and I'm on this journey, I feel myself, or going through all 3 of these, but it's lifetime success. So I call it the GOAT energy. Everyone knows what GOAT means? Yeah, a lot of the younger people, some of the older ones are like, what? Greatest of all time, I love that phrase, a GOAT energy. These are people who stay at the top for long periods of time. So the corporate athlete equation is essentially this. And I can see some people taking photos and whatnot. There'll be a QR code at the end, so if my team can send it out to you, I really think it will be beneficial. But we're going to focus on, firstly, energy-focused priority. Will get you, as I said, that daily success. And then it starts to compound in the middle, and then we're going to talk around the going pro cycle at the end. So who wants me to unpack that in detail? Yeah? Hands up. Yeah, all right, let's go. So it all starts with energy. This is hands down my most passionate, my passionate part of the equation. And this is literally where it starts. I used to think it was all these really complex things, but what I identified in sport and business is that it literally all starts with energy. It is literally an energy game. And there's only set amount of hours in a day and so much energy we can give. It becomes an energy management game. But I've broken it down into 3 key things. When I was playing footy, it was always physical. Then when I became more in footy, we used to have things like mindset coaches and things like that, which when I was younger, I used to think it was a bit woo-woo. But I realised it's actually nearly more important than physical. And then emotional is one that I reckon over the last 2 years has served really well. So physical, we all know the key thing. And throughout the equation, I'm going to try and give maybe a key takeaway or an action step, just so you can implement straight away. So with physical, obviously, we all know the benefits of exercise. I don't want to talk on that. It's more, what's an action step? So when we were playing footy, everything was pre-planned. We got our schedule, we got our food. It was all pre-planned. Yeah, I'm very grateful. One of the athletes' hardest things is transitioning out of sport because now you've got to do it yourself. So I just adapted the exact same thing. So one thing I'm big on, I pre-planned all my workouts for a quarter, and I get someone to cook for me. It's all pre-planned as well, just so I can keep that energy high. I interviewed Michael Koloshi on our podcast last week. He's got a personal chef, comes in. He treats it so at the top of his game, like energy. So that's number 1. Number 2 is mental. So one thing I love is when you're scaling a business, when I started, it was all physical. I was just crunching. After time, mental capacity. There's a lot of high performers in here, I know. And I'm sure there's been a few where we've verged on the brink of burnout. Anyone brinked on that? Being honest? Yeah. And it's a scary place. What I realised, mental is where we need to touch on. So one thing I learnt from Dan Martell is the pre-booked year. So you might have heard the term work sprints. It's been an absolute game changer. So got a whole year. It's broken down into 4 quarters, just like a game of sport. One thing that I've done that has literally changed my life is I pre-book all my holidays in advance at the end of the third month, 3, 6, 9, 12, yeah. End of the 3rd month, have all your trips booked. And it works perfectly when you break down the year. Like next week I'm off to a retreat, which will be cool, but that was pre-booked last year. June, July, I'll have another one, and back in the year when it's that long weekend around October when the footy final's on, another trip, and then you got Christmas, New Year. It works perfectly. There's a 10 to 12 week block in between each time. So that I apply that from sport, and it's been a game changer. And then the big one I've noticed on a weekly basis is time allocation. Like, where is your time going right now? This one was probably a start of last year. I started really looking at this when I was feeling drained. So it's called a red light, green light calendar audit. Red light, green light calendar audit. So if you're feeling a bit drained at the moment, like you're training every day, you're doing all the things, but you're feeling drained, one thing that helped me was looking at where my time and energy is actually going. So go through your calendar right now and put a green line through everything that fills you up with energy and chuck a red line through everything that is draining you. Whether it's that meeting that you dread going in every time, or that staff member or colleague, whatever. One thing I'm being on is outsourcing those things. Stay in your creative zone of genius. Time allocation. Now the third one, this is interesting. I see people crushing the first 2. This is me included. It took me time to understand how important emotional energy is. And I'm not a therapist, and I'm not here to talk around therapy and things like that. But the amount of high performers who struggle with the last piece, in athlete world included, all the talent, but their life at home wasn't going well. And that doesn't have to be, it says their relationship doesn't have to be intimate. It could be like who you're surrounding yourself with. But then trauma responses is one I notice in business. A lot of the leaders I look up to really work on, like they have coaches in this area. So how do you react when something doesn't go to plan? How are you showing up with your team when something doesn't go to plan? How are you showing up with your partner or intimate one when something gets rocked or things are hard at work? All of that saps your battery if you're not focusing on emotional. And one that I really loved, I heard, it's like most people don't actually have relationship problems. They have inner child patterns yet to be resolved. Yeah, I know. It's like when I heard that, I was like, oh, Jesus. So one thing I love, therapy. Therapy is a big one. I'm telling you, it will fill your cup. Focus on those three and it's a good start. And then as we touch on the next two, just this graph. I love this graph. Who here is in the ages between 20 and 38? Yeah. Okay, so around 50-50. It's not to single anyone out. When I seen this, it was just like a bit of a light bulb for me. So what I noticed is people over the age of 40, and it was from some science, this was backed by science, whatever, just your energy starts to go down. Like it's proven. There are things that I notice some of the top performers are keeping that curve high, like they're really looking after themselves. You ask any 40-year-old plus what they wish they had more of, I heard it's time and energy. If you're in the ages of 20 to 38, I call it, you're in your peak performance capacity right now. And this hit me, it's like, am I doing everything? I've got the best opportunity at filling my battery cartridges up to the best of the ability. I know a lot of my teammates and a lot of the people I had in business, they're not doing the right things that are going to fill that capacity up. So that's just more of a graph. It's more so there's no one or the other that's better. It's just life, right? Like we're all going to get old. If you're in the room and you're in that bracket, like don't waste the opportunity. Like put your energy first. If you're outside of that bracket, focus on trying to keep that curve up. Like some of the best performers I've seen who are 40 plus and they're crushing it as entrepreneurs and agents, athletes as well. They all like prioritize health. Like it is so high up on their priority list because they understand it's one that does slip away eventually. So if you're in that zone, don't let it go to waste. The next one's an interesting one. When I was playing footy, this is kind of what some of the distractions we had in footy. Some of the best teammates I played with were so talented, but just got distracted. Like, it's really unfortunate. Like, I'm talking gun, like they could have been anything. Gambling was a big one, drugs, alcohol, things like that, which is really unfortunate. The key thing I noticed when I stepped into business was it's the exact same. Like there is so many things stealing your attention. And what I realized, like we're in 2024 right now, I actually think it's not about being more focused. I feel it's about becoming less distracted. Like it's not about being more, it's just being less distracted. One key action tip I got from a mentor, and it sounds so simple, right? But he reframed my mind on replying back to people because WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, like ding, 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 like Matt this, Matt that, blah, 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 blah. You don't have, like you're at no one's, like remember 10 years ago, it was fine not to reply to somebody straight away. So one thing I've been really working on is trying to limit the amount of distractions, and there's different ways around that. But one key thing is, again, just turning notifications off and being intentional when reply time comes. And then one thing, this is just a little one as well that I had was I chuck all my apps that are distracting on the 4th page in a folder just off the phone. And I know some people might have done that already. That one helps a ton. And then the last phase of this first piece of the equation is priority. So this is a cool one because you could have all the energy, all the focus, but if you're doing the wrong things, you fall into the term I like to call busy being busy. Busy being busy. This is one I see a lot in real estate, actually. I remember, I'm a buyer's agent now. I used to be in real estate sales. And I used to see this all the time. Hey, like they're doing everything but prospecting. they're literally just doing a bit of this, bit of that, water cooler, have a little chat here, this and that. Like, yep, done my morning routine, I'm all good. By 2 o'clock, they haven't made any calls and they're heading home to do God knows who what. So one thing I took away from footy was we had this mental coach and he told us about next session skill enhancement. So next session skill enhancement. So the whole draw's done for the whole year, every single year. And then you got a game that week. What this coach used to tell us, and we had best year when we had this mental coach, he broke it down into next session is the most important session you will have this year. So the next 30 minutes or an hour, some of our skill sessions were, is the most important thing you will do. Like, who would you show up if this was your last session? And that's all we used to focus on. So I found that really, really good. And that was our best year performing. Then I noticed you can actually apply that into business. And this is what I see the best in business do as well. I call it the 3 rock time block method. 3 rock time block method. So everyone in here is either, I'd say, in the world of real estate or something else. Maybe you're a founder, director, CEO, or maybe you're an associate, or maybe you're working within an organization. This still applies, I feel. So within your role, whatever that role is, try and think of what is the 3 biggest rocks for you right now. So for instance, I'm founder, CEO of our company. We're a team now. So every 6 months, mine keeps changing, but it's important to know. So for example, mine's revenue generate. So things like this, like spreading the gospel and marketing and things like that. Revenue convert, helping the team close deals, close clients, this pointy end. And then just lead and upskill. So I want to get the best out of my team, training, coaching, all that. And that's it. That's all I want to focus on. So then I attach the 3 rocks into the calendar and then you time block. I use a timer. And then you just time block for that set thing. So think of whatever role you have right now and think, can you break it down to 3 things? And then just try and fill your calendar with those 3 things. And you watch, you will end up in the top 20, hands down. It's as simple as that. You focus on those 3, you'll come into there. The next is where it really starts to compound. This is the compound of the equation. Feedback, discipline, consistency. So feedback, you either win or you learn. I love that saying. I used to have this. Does anyone remember Preston Campbell? I know that there might be some footy tragics in here. He was my first ever roomie. And I think they did that intentionally. I was 19 and he was like 35. So he was coming on the back end of his career. He won grand finals, Dally M's, all those sorts of things. Like he was the GOAT. He was the GOAT. And I roomed with him. And one thing I noticed with Preston was he's done everything in the game. Like you'd think he can put his feet up now, surely. Every time we went out for like coffee with the boys or things like that, he would watch game footage of himself, which was really interesting because you think at his age and what he's done, like it's all sweet, but he always kept learning. He wanted to be better. And I noticed with business as well that the highest level entrepreneurs I know, they're all learners. Like learners are earners. Learners are earners. And that's something I really hold. So one thing one of my mentors told me was that you really want to pay for advice. But my frame shifts. So it's not around finding mentors and doing courses, things like that. It's around you're paying for perspective shifts. You're paying for new perspective shifts, which really hit home for me. So what I mean is you have the blinkers on right now. You know what you know, and it's got to where you are, and there's a lot of successful people. But you're really paying for someone to give you a whole new perspective shift that you cannot even see yet. So when you go into like mentoring and paying for feedback and help, pay for perspective shifts. And then the next one is, I love this graph. So this is the discipline graph. I really love this. So I'll tell you what, motivation fades 100%. And with footy, that's one thing. Like it's a long pre-season, a long season. Motivation will always fade. So this graph has always stayed with me because whenever we get into I call it the fall, you end up in what I like to call the suck as well. So someone could be in here right now they're in the suck and they're about to quit. And one thing I can say is one thing that's always helped during my career and I've seen the best do this too, is they flex a muscle to get to their desired outcome. It's called the discipline muscle. The discipline muscle. It's definitely something that can be trained. Oh, thank you. I got the flu, so thanks, mate. Hey, no. The discipline muscle. So the discipline muscle is something that you can flex every single day to get to your desired outcome. So what I noticed the best do in footy and business is that they train it daily. They train it every single day. So what I noticed is, and this is something we got from one of our mental coaches, is it's like a reflection piece that you do at the end of each day, and it's, where did you flex the discipline muscle today? So where did you flex the discipline muscle today? It could be something like as easy as like I did a cold shower, or it could be something like I made that call that I was really scared of doing, or something. Reflect on it. So it was a really good exercise, and it constantly gets you thinking, how can I flex the discipline muscle? So the last one as well is consistency. So I love this. You don't eat the fruit the day you plant the seed. Don't eat the fruit the day you plant the seed. So this was really interesting in the world of footy. Like, you see these people debut at 19, 20, things like that, but they've been at it for literally 20 years prior, just going at it. I noticed the same in business. I'm still new in business, 100%, but I noticed the best, they talk in like delayed time horizons. They're always thinking like, they're not looking for the win in 12 months, 18 months. They're looking at like the decade. They're in it for the next decade. So that was really interesting that the best always looked at that. I think right now, like a key action tip that I've been doing with my team, that's actually really been helping. So if anyone's building a team, or maybe you're thinking of getting an associate, I give them the 90-day framework challenge. So you don't have to tell them they're going through this, but I notice if you've got someone who's disciplined and consistent, they're 90% of the way there. They could have all the sales experience. They could have been done all the LJ Hookers and Bidder McGrath. They've got a really good resume, but if they fail this next test, I don't think it's enough. What I notice is if you get anyone new in your team and you get in that vibe and they're a culture fit, obviously, think of, again, they're a key rock for them. So I know there's a lot of real estate. It could be calls and connects to key people, calls and connects. I'm a buyer's agent, so some of it's chatting to agents, like calls and connects. They've got a set number, but the thing is, don't judge them on week 1, week 2. Could they do the same? All they have to do is tick the box for 90 days. That's it. And they'll pass. If they can do that for 90 and just show up, I'm telling you, it has been a game changer on us recruiting and things like that. And I think it's a really valuable tip. So consistent. You don't eat the fruit the day you plant the seed. And then lastly, this last part is that GOAT energy. This is cool. This is what I see the best of the best do. So you've got that abnormal result. These are people sitting in the 1%, but then they're doing things to stay at the top. And I call it the going pro cycle. This is one I really observed. So in life, we don't get what we want. We get what we believe we deserve. That one's always really stuck with me. So I remember in footy, that same mental coach, his name was Mark, he was from England or something. And I was struggling with my form a little bit, and I was playing good footy, but it just wasn't there. And he said to me, Matt, you need more inner arrogance. Inner arrogance. And I thought, I prided myself on being like a humble guy and things like that, but he said you need more inner arrogance. And he's worked with some of the best athletes in the world. And after he unpacked it, I got it. He said that the best performers, they don't need to walk over anyone else to put themselves at the top. They know literally internally that they're the best. They know it. And then I started surrounding myself with some of these key business leaders, and they've got a charisma about, like, they just know they're at the top of their game. They know it. And one thing in here that I noticed how this is applied to business and our profitability, like, who here works on commission? Commission now? Yep, most people in the room. Look, it's super competitive, this industry, 100%. If you don't believe in you, how are you meant to pay a premium, or how are you meant to get someone else to pay a premium for your service or product if you don't even believe in you? So I always believe you can get serious outcomes and higher margins as a business and as a real estate professional which will end up better net profit margin. If you just focus on this, like you have to believe. And it's all well and good, so just believe in yourself, talk in the mirror. He actually gave a key action step for me that has really helped. I said, what will help get more belief? And he said to me, do what you say you're going to do. I was like, what? He said, do what you say you're going to do. I said, okay. He said, Matt, the last person you want to lie to is yourself. So I found that a bit of a game changer for me. And I noticed the best, when they say they're going to do something, whether it's to someone or themselves, they execute and they make it happen. And the last one is purpose. And it sounds weird, I was that guy, like, purpose, your why, all that sort of hoo-ha. I realised these two, belief and purpose, are literally the cherry on top that keep the best of the best there. So the bigger the impact, the bigger your income. Your income will always be capped in relation to the impact created. So I noticed the best in sport and like we played with this one guy, he'd done everything, but he was playing for his people. He was Indigenous, he was playing for his people, and he wanted to create an impact into his communities. I know some of the best business leaders I know, they're all around their team and like wanting to see the best outcome of their team. Like basically what I'm trying to say is sometimes the more income will come, the more impact you make. So maybe make the goal less on self and more on something else, which has been interesting. And this guy named Dean Graziosi, he's got this cool exercise. I really love it. To touch on that bit in the middle, your why. And I've never really focused on, your why, but this will make sense. So it's got an exercise. Whenever you want to try and do something, or you're setting yourself on a new path or something, ask yourself, it's called the 7 layers deep exercise. Ask yourself why 7 times. Ask yourself why 7 times. What it reveals is more of a core reason that's going to get you out of bed. Sometimes the surface level stuff isn't enough to stay at the top, right? Ask yourself why 7 times. So that's essentially the corporate athlete equation. Hit the top, I believe you'll crush it day on day. Hit the middle, this is where you'll start to really move away from your competitors. And then to stay at the top, I find it's the last one. Like think about it. We know people who are crushing the top. They're doing it like from the outside looking in, they're crushing it. They're the best of the best, yet they still feel empty. And I notice it's the people who align themselves with the going pro cycle is where it's at. Because the crazy thing is, the more you tap on your belief and purpose, the more it energizes you. So it'll get you out of bed, and it becomes this vicious cycle of success. And you can take it wherever you want. The last thing I'll finish on just quickly, just have a think around this. What is the most expensive thing you own? Let's have a quick think, like the most expensive thing you own. I seen old mate looking at his Rolex there. Is that Rolex? Could be that handbag. That's a nice handbag. The most expensive thing you own, and I've been learning this from some of the high performers, the most expensive thing you own right now is a closed mind. It's a closed mind. The reason I say that is what I notice the best do is, like we've got the framework now, we've got the SIM card, we can attach it in. If we go back to the start of the convo and we can envision your version of success, if you don't walk out of here believing that can happen, no matter how good that SIM card is, it's not going to happen. Like be open to that's going to happen. Because this is what I notice the best do. They actually don't view life through their eyes. Their eyes are more of a mechanism to see, literally. They see things up here. So what I believe to be true is that if your mind is blind to the possibility, your eyes will be blind to the opportunity. So you've got the SIM card now. It's really up to you how you apply that and make it happen. So I really hope that gave some valuable feedback from my experience. As I said, I'm on the journey myself. So if you want to connect, the top one's probably the easiest one to find me there. I'd love to keep each other accountable. As I said, I'm on the journey myself. So hopefully today's unpacked a little bit on what I notice the best do in sport, what the best are doing in business, and hopefully you can apply that into your life. So thanks for having me. Reach out and enjoy the day.